Imagine traveling to another country and discovering that almost every bathroom has a small spray next to the toilet. To millions of people around the world, it's as ordinary as having a sink or a shower. Yet in the United States, many people have never used a bidet, or even seen one in someone's home. So, why did two parts of the world develop such different bathroom habits? The answer isn't simply about personal preference. It involves centuries of history, the rise of modern plumbing, clever marketing, cultural traditions, and even a few surprising misconceptions. So, why aren't bidets common in the United States? Let's find out, right here, on History of Simple Things. The bidet first appeared in France during the early 1700s. The earliest versions weren't attached to toilets at all. They were small basins placed in bedrooms, so people could wash themselves after using a chamber pot. The word bidet comes from the French word for pony, because users had to straddle it like riding a horse. By the late 1800s, indoor plumbing transformed bathrooms, and bidets gradually became permanent fixtures in many European homes. Countries such as France, Italy, Portugal, and Spain embraced them as part of everyday hygiene. Later, Japan revolutionized the idea by developing electronic bidet toilets with heated seats, adjustable water pressure, and even warm air dryers. Meanwhile, the United States followed a very different path. One of the biggest reasons bidets never became common in the United States is simple timing. During the late 1800s and early 1900s, America experienced a massive expansion of indoor plumbing at roughly the same time that commercially produced toilet paper became inexpensive and widely available. Manufacturers heavily promoted toilet paper as the modern sanitary solution for personal hygiene. It required no additional plumbing, no changes to bathroom layouts, and no new habits. By the time homes across America were installing indoor bathrooms, toilet paper had already become the expected standard. Since most people grew up using it, few questioned whether another method might work better. Bathroom habits are deeply cultural. People usually stick with whatever they learned as children, and changing those routines isn't easy. In countries where bidets became common decades ago, children grow up assuming washing with water is simply how you clean yourself. In America, generations were raised believing toilet paper alone was sufficient. There's also the factor of unfamiliarity. Many Americans have never actually used a bidet spray. Without first-hand experience, some imagine it to be messy, complicated, or uncomfortable. Ironically, people who try one for the first time often discover it's much cleaner and easier than they expected. But because bidets have never been a normal household fixture, many people simply never consider installing one. History also played an unexpected role. During and after World War II, many American soldiers encountered bidets while stationed in parts of Europe. Unfortunately, some of the places where they commonly saw them were brothels, where bidets were used for personal hygiene between customers. As a result, some Americans returned home associating bidets with those establishments rather than ordinary family bathrooms. That misconception lingered for decades and discouraged wider acceptance, even though millions of regular households throughout Europe used bidets every day. Over time, the stigma faded, but by then, toilet paper had already become firmly established. Unlike many European countries, American bathrooms were rarely designed with standalone bidets in mind. Installing a traditional bidet meant adding extra plumbing, additional floor space, and higher construction costs. Since most builders weren't including them in new homes, homeowners rarely requested them later. It's much easier to continue building bathrooms the same way they've always been built than to redesign them for an appliance most customers aren't asking for. This is one reason modern spray attachments have become more popular. Instead of requiring an entirely separate fixture, many inexpensive models connect directly to an existing toilet in less than an hour. One event dramatically increased interest in bidets across America: the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2020, panic buying emptied store shelves of toilet paper throughout the country. Many people suddenly realized how dependent they were on a product they had always taken for granted. As shortages continued, online searches and sales of bidet attachments surged. For countless households, it was their first experience using water instead of relying entirely on paper. Many discovered that bidets reduced toilet paper use, felt cleaner, and could even be gentler on sensitive skin. Although toilet paper eventually returned to store shelves, the pandemic introduced millions of Americans to a bathroom habit that had been common elsewhere for generations. Today, bidets are becoming more popular in the United States, though not usually as standalone fixtures like in Europe. Instead, most Americans choose bidet attachment seats or smart bidet toilets with features like heated seats, adjustable water pressure, and warm air dryers. These options are easy to install, making them a practical upgrade for existing bathrooms. Many people now value the improved hygiene, comfort, and reduced toilet paper use. While still not standard in most homes, bidet attachments and smart toilets are quickly becoming a popular bathroom upgrade in the U.S. So why aren't bidets common in the United States? It wasn't because they didn't work. Instead, it came down to history, culture, plumbing, marketing, and habits formed over generations. Toilet paper became America's default choice long before bidets had a chance to compete, and once a routine becomes part of everyday life, it can take decades to change. Today, however, that story is slowly evolving. Affordable attachments, smart toilets, changing attitudes, and a growing interest in hygiene and sustainability are introducing more Americans to something much of the world has considered normal for centuries. Sometimes the simplest everyday objects tell us just as much about history as they do about the present. And that's another fascinating story behind one of life's simplest things. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.